At 6:30. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the town of Waukesha, March 26, 2015, beginning at 6:30 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Supervisor Durr?
Here.
Supervisor Fisher?
Here.
Chairman Merrick?
Present.
Supervisor Radke?
Here.
Supervisor Wolf?
Here.
And Madam Clerk, have we met all of the open meetings laws rules?
Yes, we have.
And we can begin then with citizens' comments. Good evening.
Joseph Laska, W238 South 3360 Big Bend Road. This is for the clerk. I would like to put in the minutes for tonight. To all the board members sitting there, the board as individuals when elected took an oath to uphold the laws and protect the town and its residents. As a town resident, I'm very unprotected at this time. A major water diversion will soon take place on Big Bend Road and Sunset as on Garfield Avenue and East Avenue. The work is in progress as we speak. Myself and neighbors have artesian wells that are only 54, 55, and 56 and a half feet deep. It is very possible some of our water issues in the future will have big problems. It is my hopes that the town board review the paperwork of this project and can plainly see the issues that we are concerned with, and as well as the ones that were overlooked. There should be language in the contract addressing my concerns. If and when I have issues with my well following any problems, I don't want to come back a year or 2 years from now. If you're still here, I don't have no water. What can you do about it?
What were the road names where the work's taking place, please?
Big Bend Road, north of the bypass.
Okay.
South
Garfield.
of something, yeah, Garfield. Okay. Sunset Drive from East Avenue to Tenney Avenue, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't want to hear that hook up to city water. I called the city and they said you're a town resident. Nothing we can do. I came in last week and I talked to Kathy. I still haven't heard nothing. But I don't want to hear hook up to city water. I want something in writing that the town, within agreement with the city, can protect me and my neighbors. I don't want to have to drill a well deeper. I don't want to hook up to city water. I don't want to annex to the city. Thank you.
Perhaps if you hang around till the end of the meeting, we could chat. It's not on the agenda, so we really shouldn't be addressing it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, could I just make a real quick announcement if there aren't any other citizens' comments?
Sure.
Some of you, or many of you probably remember Rich Eberhard, who was our town engineer for many years from Rupert and Milky. Just got word his wife just passed away. So I wanted to share that with everybody who remembered Rich. Maybe we can find a way to send a condolence card or something on behalf of the town. So I wanted to share that with you.
Thank you. Good evening.
My name is Jim Mason. I'm a neighbor of Joe. It says creation of town islands and annexation is expressly prohibited by statute 66021-221. When all this happened, I was never notified. Even when this happened, I was never notified. If you guys are representing me, why am I finding out about this after it's all done? I mean, they're clearly trying to push us out. Next thing I'm waiting for is eminent domain to come and say that because of my well is dry or something, that they're going to condemn my place or take part of my property to put sidewalk in and raise my property tax. I don't want to be part of their city. But I'm going to be forced out by these millionaires. I know it. And I'd like you guys to at least inform me when they're doing stuff like this, because I wouldn't have known about this until about half hour ago when my neighbors told me about this meeting. I found out about it all afterwards. And I know the mayor is in Smart's pocket. Their whole plan is to push us out. You know, there aren't very many of us. There's only 4 on the one side. I'm surrounded by them, connected with a 10-foot strip. Now, if I want to sell my property, I think that ruins my chances of it doing it. And, you know, who am I to go up against the Smarts and the city of Waukesha? They're not telling me anything. I'd like at least to be notified of this stuff before it happens. Because I know the end goal is just to push us out, you know, and then they want to put sidewalk down the whole side. But I'm just saying, you guys are supposed to be representing me. At least notify me.
Notify you of what? I'm not sure.
Of what they're doing, so I at least can come to court and try to fight it or something. I know they're just going to seize my property or seize like 30 feet of it or whatever. I'm going to be an annex. They're going to say, no, you don't have to be annexed. I don't believe it. I think they're going to force me to annex. So my property taxes will double, whatever. I don't want any part of their city. That's why I bought the place to begin with. I have all that land behind me. It was real nice. I have like a barn with a silo. It looked like Town of. It doesn't look like Town of anymore. I got machines running, and you know, you guys can tell me what you want. I know the end goal is to push us out, and it really scares me. And I wish you'd at least notify me ahead of time before they come and take my stuff.
Once again, if you'd hang around till after the meeting, I'd be happy to chat with you.
Okay,
guys.
because yeah, went to court too. We went and they said, well, they don't have to notify us. Town's supposed to tell us, but we never hear anything. So we go to the city meetings and they're like, we'll listen to you, but we really don't have to. Yeah, it sounds like government to me. I mean, I don't have money to go up against these people. We don't need Myers. We have 2 pick and saves. We have a Woodman's. We have all these. Myers doesn't even pay very well. I mean, it's below minimum. I mean, they're worse than Walmart. They're not making our area better. And since they put apartments up the hill from us, Smarts did, we got heroin dealers. Springs are popping up in my neighbor's yard. We got water issues where there's actually springs popping up in the ground. Once they push that big mountain down, we don't know if we're going to have water, if we're going to have too much water. Either way, we're probably going to get screwed. So, you know, it is a big issue for us. I mean, these millionaires are moving in and they're going to screw up our life. So I wish you guys would kind of look into it and make sure that we don't get screwed over by these people because they don't care. So, I mean, I'm really worried about it. So I hope it doesn't get that way.
Let's talk after the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Hi. Janet Glade, South 31, West 26111, Sunset Drive. Last week was the pre-election forum of the candidates for the town board. Questions were asked and answered by the candidates, several who are current board members. There were positive and negative moments during the forum. Hopefully, the future board will attempt to change these negatives into positive. These are positive. Our chairman arranging the forums so citizens could hear the views of the candidates. Negative, not checking beforehand to see if everyone could attend and then faulting Larry Wolf for having unchangeable vacation plans. A simple phone call would have allowed all to participate. Positive, there were questions about the budget. A budget of one page with few categories was presented in time. Negative, the budget presented this way was difficult to understand and invited more questions than answers. Negative, announcing at the forum by several of the candidates the fake premise that a vote against or an abstention of the budget by Larry, Wayne, and Millette was a vote against the lowering of taxes. Their vote was against the presentation and the unclarity of the budget. Positive. The former town board investigating and evaluating the solution to the supposed failed septic system. Positive and negative. 2 years later, the septic system is still working and is seldom pumped. What's with that? Positive and negative. Work has finally started. I am looking forward to a clarification of this year project since it's on the agenda for tonight. Could be positive, since our goals are similar, attaching 288 acres of our town to the city of Brookfield. Negative, lots of questions about this. Negative, what exactly does attachment mean in this context? Is it a legal term? Negative. The city of Brookfield will supposedly unattach our acreage if they are successful. But what if they lose? Does this attachment allow them to relinquish our 288 acres and our $60 million tax base without them giving us a fight? Negative, the city of Brookfield lawyer is being paid by them, so where do you think his loyalties lie? I think for the future board, on this matter, at least, we need to hire an impartial lawyer working just for us. I'm not a lawyer, but I see a slippery slope concerning this deal, and that slope is not heading us to nirvana. And thanks to all of you who participated in the forum.
Thank you.
Mike Peterson, West 238, South 3338, Big Bend Road. I came here to talk about some of the things that my neighbors already spoke about. But it seems like we got a theme going here. It seems like information is not being shared. And if that information is known, it should be shared. And if that information is not known, there's a problem. With the close proximities of the city and now the town and the area I live, as they spoke, we're now on an island, which was strongly by the state something they didn't want to happen, but it's something the city and both the town allowed to happen. That could cause problems for our services, both medical, law enforcement, that kind of thing, because now we're in a different jurisdiction. They alluded to some of the stuff with wells, so I'm not going to get into that as well. But what I would like to see, and I'd like to know from all of you guys, is when are we going to share information, or when are you guys going to be my representative and gather that information and let me know what's going on? That's all I have.
Thank you. And once again, if you would stick around after the meeting, I'd love to chat with you. Anybody else?
Angie Vansock, South 51, West 25375, Glendale Road. Boy, I'm really looking forward to that after-meeting chat. I'm assuming everybody's invited to that. A Town of Brookfield issue with Janet Glade just mentioned. There is no detachment from the city of Brookfield. There's no resolution that exists, even though Mr. Merrick said that in public. I immediately asked the mayor for a copy of the resolutions. And he called me quizzically and said, "What are you talking about?" And doesn't exist. There are two resolutions, both are the same. They'll take the entire incorporation area. There's only two because the town of Brookfield made a mistake in their legal description and they had to redo it. Making representations to try to get elected is wrong. You're talking about having a conversation with these poor people with Big Bend Road, though I don't see that any notice went out to the people on Sunset where you're trying to do jurisdictional swap tonight for nothing. The same issues that the Big Bend people are having is what the poor Sunset people are going to have, and they have gotten no notice. At a minimum, a letter should have been sent to them so that they were aware and should be able to talk to you about what is going to happen to them. Those four people that are directly on Sunset, that 4-lane highway, I would bet it'll all go south and take their front yards. What are their homes going to be worth? You have done nothing in the jurisdictional agreement to protect any of them. You have clout in this matter, and you could have negotiated, although you didn't, according to the document, that at least these people get free sewer and water without annexation. You could still include the people on Big Bend. Not that they want it, but they have a fallback if the construction and efforts around them wreck their systems. And this is how you should be helping with people, not having after-hours conversations, but talking to them. Now, we talk about the sewer system, and I'll ask you directly, Mr. Merrick, am I going to be allowed to speak under the agenda item that I asked to put on the agenda?
No.
I would quote from the agenda preparation, section 2-3-11, any person, firm, or corporation that desires to present any matter to the town board for its review shall make a written request. I made a public request at the last meeting. I made a written request. It was confirmed by the clerk. It is on the agenda. You cannot keep people from sharing information and asking for information. It's not right, John Merrick. And people have a right to present and be on the agenda, and you can't pick and choose your friends to talk, which you have allowed plenty of people to put things on the agenda, including Tom Kelnick, but not allow somebody who has information and history to help gentlemen here and the people in the town to understand the issues.
Thank you for your comments.
You're cutting me off?
Your 3 minutes are up.
Real nice. Thanks.
Anybody else? Anybody else for citizens' comments? And we'll move on. For approval of the minutes for March 12th, 2015, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of March 12th, 2015.
Second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to reports. DPW report, Supervisor Durr.
I put at your positions similar report to previous months. Just in quick summary, this is for the month of February. Spent 112 hours performing snow plowing activities, about 21 hours working on vehicles, 5 hours working on roads and signs, some tree trimming, some mailbox repair, and some work for the election.
Any questions for Supervisor Durr? Thank you. And on to well monitoring, Supervisor Fisher.
Yeah, just a quick update. The well monitoring program first round or first battery of monitoring levels is in progress, should be completed within the week. And as soon as that is received, I will make that available to the entire board.
Thank you. Any questions for Supervisor Fisher? Then we can move on to new business. Discussion and possible action on the following. The independent inspection contract. They have been working with us basically on a month-to-month basis for the last year and a half.
Since
Longer?
September of 2011.
11, okay. We have Tom DeLacy from Independent Inspections here, and perhaps you could point out some of the substantial changes in your contract.
Yes, the substantial changes we're looking at is that we're including all code enforcement related to building code issues or zoning code issues at no charge to the town. What we did is we took a look at the surrounding communities, took a look at what they're doing for their fees, increased the fees, and basically we'll cover our costs that way. So we'll give the town that guarantee. That whatever comes up, we'll take care of it at no cost. Some of the other items in there, we did prepare a fee comparison across the board. We're still in line with Vernon, Town of McGuanago, et cetera. I do want to note that many years ago, the town board increased the building permit fee for new homes in the town to match what the city of Waukesha was at that time. And they had upped it. And what happens there, everywhere else we're on an 80-20 split. But on that one, the difference between what currently was 14 cents, the split is based on the fee is 25 cents, the additional 11 cents all goes to the town. The town board did that many years ago to help pay for code enforcement. That was the way that they were budgeting for it. So I put it in there, and just as a comparison, the city is still at 24 cents, but New Berlin's at 33, City of Muskego's at 30. So you've got some area there if you want to take a look at additional items. Again, anything you do in that sense would all, you want to go back to the town to help with any other related, construction-related costs or planning-related cost. So other than that, we had worked with Attorney Macy. We have included all of his additional changes he asked for. And those are, we sent over a draft that's in yellow. And then on paragraph 11, I put in there in red, so you can see that everything was at no charge. And that's about it. Is there any questions I could answer?
Anybody have questions for Mr. DeLacy? Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the agreement for services with independent inspectors for inspection services in the town.
Second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here. And 7B, jurisdictional transfer agreement for Sunset Drive. I saw Mr. Day here a little earlier. Are you still here? Come on up and tell us what you guys are looking for.
Good evening. Thank you. On your desk, you should have a packet that has kind of a simple jurisdictional transfer agreement. And on the back would be a display aerial view of the area that is under discussion. It's an odd-shaped piece of right-of-way there. And to start, I guess the purpose for the discussion is that the city is proposing to improve Sunset through this area from an existing 2-lane to a 4-lane roadway. Sure, thank you. We have not entered into a contract for design yet. It's kind of conceptual. We're looking at Certainly in the area of Sunset View, feel that it's important that we're not going to change access for the residents there. There will not be raised medians that would cause right in, right out type of situations. The diagram does show kind of a median cross-hatched. That would either be a painted and or possibly a slightly raised rumble type strip, but that would be part of the design, providing access to those properties. The odd-shaped right-of-way, as we went back and looking at records, it's kind of a holdover from what was old County Highway A. And when they reconstructed Highway 59, through that, I'm sorry, Sunset Drive to the bypass, left that kind of remnant areas. With the agreement itself, we're transferring just basically the responsibility for construction, for maintenance in the future. That would become the city's responsibility in this area with regard to snow removal, ice control, that type of thing. Road, certainly, maintenance in the future. There's no change to it's not being annexed or anything like that. There isn't any change to ownership, just the basically transfer responsibility. City believes that is probably the most efficient way in this particular area to kind of maintain the roadway and the improvements.
Mr. Day, in the alternative, the board does not choose to transfer jurisdiction to the city. What would our alternatives be? We would negotiate perhaps with the developer. Are they improving the road, or are you improving the road at this time?
In this particular area, it will be kind of a combination developer and city. We will be bidding the project as it stands right now.
Okay. And so you're participating in the cost to improve the road?
Correct. There is.
Okay.
Yes.
Or we could leave it, we could not transfer jurisdiction and leave it as a 4-lane road coming into 2 lanes in the town and then back into 4 lanes on the way out.
That's one possibility, yes.
It would seem to me that would create quite a bottleneck for town residents that live in that area as well as anybody else traveling on the road.
It was a similar situation very early in my career, just on the West Sunset Drive, where that situation had occurred, where Sunset was improved, throttled down to 2-lane and then back out. And through cooperative agreements there, that was improved through the town's portion as well. So it has history, and it is an efficient way to work together.
Okay. Questions for Mr. Day?
What is the current right-of-way?
The entire highlighted area is deemed right-of-way.
So the current right-of-way is on the south side of the street, the blue line? Please. Okay.
This one? Yes.
So that's the current right-of-way?
Correct.
I have that here somewhere, that's fine. Just so if I want to take notes on it, then I'll look up your copy.
So there is no right-of-way acquisition involved, is that correct?
That's correct.
I guess Mr. Chairman, I have a comment. When this did come before us a number of months previously, I raised an issue or concern about whether it wouldn't be a good opportunity to discuss with the city with intergovernmental cooperation and agreement to extend sewer and water at some time in the future to residents in the immediate proximity of this area without requiring annexation to the city. My position on that hasn't changed. I think that's a discussion that should be had.
Is that anything that you can speak to this evening?
Nothing that I could comment on. I would just looking at the area. I haven't looked closely, but the Meyer development itself, Tenney future development, is being served by sewer from the south. And so it would seem that would be appropriate in some manner. Having the sewer would serve this area from the south, not the Sunset right away.
So,
Okay.
so just a few comments to the people who are here for this topic this evening. I think some of the people in the room are under the impression that we're notified or we're in participation of or we're in cooperation with the Meyer development. And frankly, as far as I know, as a town board member for a year, we are not. That is city property. It has been city property for quite some time. I don't know how long. There was a recent annexation in the area, but I believe that the property that the Meyer building is going on has been city property for quite some time. So the town board in no way has participated or been informed or asked to coordinate, and frankly, nor would we. It would be no different than if we would want the city to come here and tell us how we want to develop, say, the property over on 59 and Sunset. So we have not participated in that conversation, nor were we asked to. As it pertains to this road, the issue of the traffic is going to come no matter what. Whether we choose to keep this jurisdiction and develop it ourselves, or keep this jurisdiction and get the developer of the Meyer property to develop it for us, that's certainly an option, not guaranteed, but an option. Or we transfer it to the city. None of that has anything to do with the fact that this traffic is going to come. People are going to want to go to the Meyer store. Do we need a Meyer store? Should a Meyer store be there? Do they pay well? None of those issues are all behind us. The Meyer store is going to be there. So the question for the town board, I think, is how do we best deal with the traffic that's coming? And those are the things we need to consider. And I'm not sure that I've made up my mind yet. And there's issues of sewer and water, and we should look into those issues. Those are legitimate concerns. But there's no way that anything's going to happen at this town board that's going to keep that traffic from coming. And so that's what I think we need to address.
Mr. Day, do you know how long that property that the Meyer store is going to be built on has been in the city? How long ago it got annexed about?
I was thinking that it was in recent history, 2-3 years maybe.
Yeah, it was around 2 years ago. I do remember the whole controversy with the city. But it was approved. You're correct, Supervisor Durr. It is going to happen. Now it's a matter of dealing with that small section there of, do you want to go from a 4-lane to a 2-lane to a 4-lane? I don't think so, but that's what we need to work out. Is the best avenue to turn over jurisdiction? I'm not sure I can vote on that yet either.
So what's the pleasure of the board? Would you like to table it for future discussion?
Well, before I make that motion, because then we're done talking about it, I'd certainly want some kind of input from our engineer to talk about what issues lie ahead for the residents on Sunset View and the residents on Sunset itself.
Fair enough.
So with that, I'll make a motion that we table this issue.
Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Day.
Thank you.
On to 8, discussion and possible action on the following: Waukesha Town Hall current on-site septic system. And progress. Progress is we've begun. We are moving forward. They expect to finish in the next week and a half, depending on weather and a little bit of a slowdown for the election. Ma'am, you can have a seat.
No, I'm on the agenda.
No, ma'am. On the agenda is a review for the on-site septic system, and the ordinance says it's at the chairman's discretion whether or not somebody's going to speak. Have a seat.
Why are you keeping me from speaking?
Ma'am, have a seat.
Why are you keeping me from speaking?
Oh, sure.
Call the sheriff? Is that what you said?
I'd just like to make a point of order, please. As some of you know, I've attended town board meetings for a good portion of my residence. I've been on the board for just a year now. Attended meetings for the bulk of my 15 years here. And one of the things that I learned early on that I didn't understand at first was that this is a meeting of the town board, and it's not a participatory meeting of the electorate. I didn't understand that at first, but that's what it is. So this is a public meeting for the electorate to view what goes on in the administration of your government. It's not an open forum for people to participate in the meeting. The time for that is during citizen comments, and the time for that is for you to contact your elected representatives, which is each one of us on this board. We don't have districts, so each one of us represents you in full. And for those of you who have concerns about notification and what's going on Sunset and what's going on Big Bend Road and all of that, we all have our telephone numbers listed. We all have email addresses. I encourage you to write us and contact us directly, because sometimes we're not aware of the issues that are of your concern. So if you have those issues, but this is not a public meeting for anyone to speak at any time. It's a closed meeting of the town board that's open to the public, but not for your participation. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Excuse me,
And for
that is
somebody-
not
and for
totally
some-
true.
And for somebody who's been a past chairman of this board who ran that meeting in that exact fashion.
I did not.
You should
Anyone
know
who
better.
requested being on the agenda was always on the agenda. This is stifling the public.
And I'll have to comment on that also. All the times I have been coming to the board meetings, if a citizen put something on the agenda, the citizen was allowed to speak.
I would like to add also that I think you should be able to allow 6 minutes at the minimum in order to get your point across, whatever you're trying to speak. And is that asking too much, Mr. Chairman?
The 3-minute rule was set by the board, and the board agreed on it, and that is the rule that's the policy that's been set.
I understand what you're saying.
And it's not the issue on the agenda. I apologize. I cannot discuss it because it would be going off the agenda, and we're not allowed to do that. We can have that discussion. If you choose to contact me, please do.
Cut off at 6 minutes, but
Sir,
there's no way you can get a point across in 3 minutes. I think you realize that as town chairman, that you couldn't yourself put anything across in 3 minutes that you really want to put across to the people. We're your employees, you're the employer. You should be willing to listen.
No, we're not his employees.
I work for you.
Yeah, you listen to the work, then it's just the opposite, and you should be willing.
All right, point of order. We're going to move on. Is there any questions regarding from the board regarding the septic?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Please.
I asked for some documents before they started. And as far as I know, Urban Vision 2 is the installer of the sewer. And as far as I know, that company no longer exists.
And then I ask for a certificate of insurance, and I get a certificate of insurance from another company that's not even listed as the installer. How can you let a company install your product with somebody else's insurance? Who's gonna pay if something goes wrong?
I can answer that. The original bidder has merged with another company, Main Street Holdings. Main Street Holdings is the merged company, and they are performing the work, and that's who the insurance policy is with. Companies big and small merge all the time. I believe I read today that
Okay, so
Kraft and Heinz.
we
Can I
didn't need
finish?
to get an
May I
updated name on our contract?
May I finish? Kraft and Heinz, I believe I read today, merged. We have, the contract is between the merged company and the town of Waukesha. Does that answer the question sufficiently?
No, what was that last statement you said
Does that answer the question sufficiently?
before that? About the merged contract?
The company that merged with Urban Visions is now the contract holder. When companies merge, the contracts don't go null and void. Contracts are still enforced. What other documentation were you looking for, Supervisor Wolf?
Well, for the other thing, how does a community allow a contractor to work without a bond?
Well, we accepted the contract, and the board voted, and we accepted the contract since it was a small dollar amount, $25,000 or less. And we're not making any progress payments. We're only going to pay that payment once the project is finished, inspected, and done.
So just because of that, because we're a municipality, you don't require a bond?
In this instance, we did not. We accepted the contract without a bond because it's a small dollar amount, and we're not going to pay any progress payments. We're only going to pay after the project is finished, inspected, and completed.
Well, I don't recall ever seeing any paperwork waiving a bond.
It was in the contract.
Yeah, and like I said, I never saw any paperwork that said we were waiving a bond.
It was in the contract, though. So if you saw the contract.
Then I guess I didn't see the contract, if I never saw a paper with the waived bond.
I don't know that you did or didn't. I can't tell you what you did or didn't review.
Okay.
What other questions?
No,
That was the only documents you had?
just the two I wanted.
Okay. Any other questions regarding this? Then we can move on. Accounts payable. We have bills in the amount of $30,793.87. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $30,793.87.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. And we have a motion for adjournment.
I'll make the motion, we adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Both of you would like to hear what I was going to present? Take 2 minutes.
Yeah.